According to Women Engineering Society, women only represent 9% of the engineering workforce. That is a staggering fact. Is engineering really misunderstood? Is it really unattractive to women? Or is it only considered just a career path for men? To get to the bottom of this, we're talking to two sisters who are both pursuing a career in engineering. Come on in.
I'm Sophia, I'm a mechanical engineer.
And I'm Isla, and I'm an electrical engineer, and we're sisters. I'm now in my final year at Downing College, Cambridge, and I'm doing electrical engineering, but my first 2 years at university were general engineering. So it kind of gave me the chance to get to know different types of engineering and then specialise.
Mm-hmm. So I studied at UCL, I did my master's there. I did a year abroad in Wisconsin actually. And yeah, I got into engineering. I studied maths and physics at A-level, really enjoyed it. And that was kind of the logical way into it.
I think the knowledge that I could use an engineering degree to make a difference was it was definitely a selling point. And so I've always been concerned with global warming, and I did always find renewables very interesting, and I wanted to learn more about it. And I realized that if I did want to work in that industry and I did want to make the world a better place, even though it sounds very cliche, it would be through having an engineering degree. So I think that was one of the aspects that pushed me towards engineering. Do you want me to start?
Big question.
It is a big question. I think I've had a lot of time, especially in the last year, to think about it. And I think a lot of people say, girls are just less interested in maths and science at school. But I think, yeah, okay, that's true, but why is that? And I actually think that the root of it is the way we're brought up. We are brought up differently as a boy or as a girl. And boys are always given trains and cars and told to go outside and play and get messy or whatever. And girls are always told to, stereotypically, they're given dolls, they're asked, how many kids do you want when you grow up? They're asked very different questions and they're treated differently, and I think that makes them feel differently. And there's loads of social experiments with children to show how they react differently at schools and how their grades are affected by different experiments, and I think it's really interesting. So I think it's down to that, firstly.
I think it's a big question, and a lot of things come into this. I think culture is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you said, how women and girls are brought up. But I think for us, we're three sisters and we've all ended up in engineering. And I think in a way we've been each other's support systems as well. Like, this is hard. Engineering is hard, whether you're a guy or a girl. That's no difference. But being a minority in any kind of environment is an extra hardship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the three of us have been our support system. And I think the more women get into engineering, you kind of come together and work together and help each other.
I think there's also I think there's different stages. So there's the earlier reasons of why girls in the first place don't feel like they should be doing maths or feel like they're not good at maths and it's not for them. But I think then there's the girls who get through that and do maths, for example, maths and further maths A-level. And then a lot of them don't even consider engineering. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also an issue. And I think a lot of my friends who were good at maths then went on to do finance or maths at university. Mm-hmm. And they didn't even think, I could be an engineer. I was going to be an engineer. I could do this. And I think that's down to role models and the general stereotype of engineering. Yeah. The engineering, people see it as, engines and very manual. And it's not. And a lot of people, when I told them I was going to be an engineer, would say, you're not worried about the workshop and building. And I was like, no. And also, it's not hard. If you know how to use a tool, you don't have to go to the gym every day to get really big. It's not a hard thing, and I really enjoy it.
I think a lot of it, though, is the fear of the unknown. You don't know what engineering is. You've heard the word, but you don't know what it means. What you have heard is the engineer coming to fix the boiler. That's
or the Sky TV.
Or the Sky TV, yeah, or telecoms or something. But it's not a fair representation. And I think people in general don't know what engineering is really in the UK, and that's why we don't have that many engineers.
I think if you compare also to different careers like law, where initially it was very male dominated and now a lot less, I think it's also down to what we see on TV. We see a lot of female lawyers on TV. And I think growing up, you could, as a girl, you'd be like, I could do this. But we never see engineers on TV full stop, whether it's male or female, and even less so female. And you don't have role models of, oh, have you heard of this engineer? She did this and she did that. You're not...
Things are changing. It's
Yeah.
just everything takes time. We just have to encourage it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all bad or anything, it's just, it could be a lot better.